Support comes from BECU, a member-owned credit union putting people over profit, offering financial services and support to the community with access to local financial centers, over 30,000 ATMs, and online resources at becu.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hey, good morning. It's Patricia Murphy. It's Wednesday. This is Seattle Now. Here's a thought for another 80-degree sunshiny day. The Puget Sound region is pretty much the only part of the state not on the verge of a drought. For everybody else, it's dry and dusty, and that could mean bad news for summer wildfires. We'll talk with reporter Anna King in a minute, but first, let's get you caught up. A 20-year-old Seattle man is under arrest for allegedly trying to join ISIS. The FBI says it picked up Elvin Williams at SeaTac Airport Friday as he was waiting to board a flight to Amsterdam on his way to Cairo. Court documents say a member of a Seattle area mosque first approached the FBI with concerns about Williams' violent extremism in November. Some members have been taking charitable care of Williams for more than a year, giving him food and a place to live in an effort to de-radicalize him. It appears that did not work. He's facing up to 20 years in prison if convicted. King County has banned the use of facial recognition technology for all county administrative offices, including the sheriff. The ACLU raised concerns about privacy and the technology's trouble identifying dark skin, which can lead to mistaken identity and wrongful arrests. Law enforcement can still use the tech to locate missing children, and the bill doesn't regulate private companies. Amazon has also banned its own technology from use in police departments indefinitely. And it'll soon feel more like a crowd at T-Mobile Park. The Mariners announced yesterday they'll triple the number of fans allowed into the ballpark, starting with their next homestand later this month. The plan is to open up about 2/3 capacity. Most of those fans will have to be vaccinated. The M's are holding open just about 5,000 seats for socially distant pods. Wow, the heat is on in Seattle. Back-to-back 80-degree days coming out of Memorial Day weekend. Should be another hot one today, too, before we start to cool off. All sun and fun for now, but look farther across the state, and there are warning signs heading into summer. We have just had the driest March and April in almost 100 years. There's a drought advisory east of the mountains and along the coast. It's already causing major problems for farmers, and of course, fire season isn't too far off. Anna King is here. She's a correspondent for the Northwest News Network based in Richland. Hey, Anna, good to talk to you.
Hey, Patricia. It's good to be here.
It is roasting here. I think it's 83 right now. How's it by you?
It says it's 97 on my phone, but I'm in the AC. I always worry that my old AC unit is about to croak on me. It's out in the vineyard here, and it just keeps rattling, but I'm not sure if it's going to die.
Wow, 97. You have me beat, Anna. You have me beat. Now, summertime is when we normally plan for fire season out west, and it's looking like this one might be a doozy, partially because most of the state is currently under a drought advisory, right?
There's a drought basically in every county except for those just encircling Puget Sound. When I was driving from the Tri-Cities over to Pierce County, Washington, where my parents have a ranch, I was able to see the landscape and see what's happening out there. In the Black Rock Valley, where we first drove through Hanford and the Black Rock Valley, it's just dry. There's basically no grass on the ground, and what grass there is red in color because it's so dried out and so stressed. When I went up to the pass in Packwood, I was noticing along the ditches and the byways that the balsam root is already curling and is already getting dried out. It's just really startling to see the landscape so parched already.
Help me suss this out a little bit, because we had a terrific ski season. I got snowed out of a trip I was supposed to take. Why don't we have enough snow? It seems like we had plenty of snow to solve this problem.
We did have good snow, and it was a great winter for snow sports. My brother, who's a snowmobiler, had like one of his best seasons ever. But the problem is that all of the land surrounding those waterways are just parched. It's like a dry kitchen sponge. It's hard as a rock, and it's dusty, and any rain that would fall on it would just be immediately absorbed into the landscape, and it wouldn't feed those rivers later in the summer where they really need some rains. Normally, there's pulses of water that go through these rivers and streams, and we just don't have that this year because all of that water that just dusts onto the top layer of dust is just staying there and is not making its way into streams and rivers as well.
All right. So a possible drought. The soil is like a dry sponge. Lots of fuel. This is a very dangerous recipe for fire season.
It's crazy, Patricia. I'm kind of getting nervous. I have all antennae up, so to speak. I just keep thinking about years like 2015, and I just keep thinking about the dry conditions we saw before Carlton Complex. I could be wrong. Maybe we'll have an okay season, but it just looks awful dry to my eye.
Anna, we always talk about smoke here in Seattle, and that's mostly what we're dealing with. But what about fire? Could we see wildfires here in the Seattle area?
So I've been on a lot of fire seminars, Patricia. I've been out in Colorado. I've been out in Montana. I've been out in Eastern Washington with fire experts to look at the landscape. And basically what they have told me is that cities don't think of themselves as urban forests, but really they're just a big contiguous forest. And if you think about Seattle and you drive from downtown all the way up to Snoqualmie Pass, there's basically an unbroken chain of trees that go right up to the pass. So if we were to have the right winds at the right time with the right fuels and it all took off, it could come from outside of Seattle into Seattle, or it could come from Snoqualmie Pass down to Seattle, and it would just go like wildfire. Urban
Literally.
Wildfire is real, and just like with the right conditions, like in Malden, Washington, a whole town can burn down in outside of an afternoon. And things like the duff and leaves in your gutters, wood decks, soft furniture, propane tanks, firewood, they all fuel a fire, just like we've seen in California. So homeowners really have a responsibility and the ability to help themselves protect their homes from wildfires. I've seen people who have only been able to grab their keys and get in their truck and leave. That's all they took with them when the fire really comes. And often in wildfires, we see homes that are left standing amid totally blackened blocks because that homeowner took precautions before the wildfire ever got to them.
Wow. And, Anna, we're always thinking about wildfires here in Seattle because we can see them, but what we primarily have to deal with is smoke. And it's likely we'll be dealing with that again. And I wonder, it's still a pandemic summer. If we add a bad fire season on top of the air quality issues, that could be a real hazard for people.
I'm ordering my air filters and box fans this week. I'm also, making sure that I have plenty of filters for my home system so that I can change them out often. I think it's time to, prep up, get your boots on, get prepared, just like Anna King out here in Fire Country.
Anna King covers Central Washington for the Northwest News Network. Always great to talk to you, Anna. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on, Patricia.
Seattle Now is produced by Clare McGrane, Caroline Chamberlain Gomez, and Jason Pagano. Matt Jorgensen does our theme music. I'm Patricia Murphy. See you tomorrow.